The first day back from vacation, such as it was. A 4-day weekend for us. Kids were out of school last week. We didn't used to get a week off. When I was in school in my day, we got 3 days off. Kids get an entire week off now. And, you know, it's our job, or part of our job as a radio show, to welcome all of you in and then do the whole, hey, everybody, how you doing? It's great to be back on a Monday. Welcome in. Yeah, I never try to pull that garbage on you. The first day after a 4-day vacation, even if you love your job, which we love our jobs here. Well, I'll speak for myself. I love my job. Or we love our job, and I'm speaking in third person. That third person, if I say we love our job, that'd be third person if I said Dave loves his job. Well, if I say we, you know how some athletes, they say, you know, what we're trying to do is just, they talk about themselves in plural. Well, I think we all love our job. I know Eunice loves her job. Well, at least she puts on a good front. She probably hates it. She goes home every day just crying. This is what I'm doing. I'm working with Kyle, Madson, and Carmichael Dave. Sure, I'm glad I studied. Kyle's over there rolling around in a not Hoblet truck.
Just a trash bin on wheels.
I don't want to say that. I just want to say it's not a luxury car on the inside.
Nor is it a big giant monster truck on the outside.
Anyways, I can't do the whole thing where no. Listen, you're back after a 4. I just got used to missing my job, and now I'm back.
I want the record to show that I also cry every day, having nothing to do with work.
Just in general, it's good to have a good cry. Just get out of the way. It's cleansing out your eyes. I was still awake last night at 1:15 in the morning. Why? Because I had adjusted my clock. I
was still awake last night at 1:15 in the morning.
Yeah, it's a lot of incorrections.
There's a lot
there.
going on
There's
there,
yeah.
Okay, no, that's okay.
You know what I mean.
I'd throw a penalty flag on that.
Yeah, Kyle and I were talking this morning in our morning meeting in the parking lot about we're going to start getting, I got to get a referee whistle sound, and you have to have access to it too. And we got to start throwing flags. Like that, you would have thrown a flag on me right there for what I said. Problem is that now that I think about it, we're actually into the show, Kyle. I don't like that idea because that just gives a segment and a bit to your well actuallys.
Yeah.
That segment should literally be called the well actually flag. If I'm like, well, the Kings have won 7 of 8, and they won 7 of 8, tweet. Well, actually, Dave. Well, actually, I want to be corrected on that stuff. It's the little things. We need to throw a flag on Matt George. He's here, isn't he?
Oh, snap. Yeah, I think so.
Because, surprising I didn't hear yet. Because we have a parking situation here.
Oh, this is just brutal.
Let me tell you a little something about the park. And I don't know if other people at their jobs have the same, can relate. So here's the parking situation where we work. And it's always been this way, the first thing. And it's always really bothered me. We have parking behind, you go through a gate to get to our parking lot surrounding our building, our new building here. It's still new. It's only been a few months. New to us. It's been here forever. And we should be thankful that we have, I guess, protected gated parking. But the executives at the station have actual remotes that open these garage doors. There's 2 garage doors with the building, and they park inside the garage. Now, our big boss, whom I love very much and thank every day for giving me a job, our big boss, the head honcho guy, he and the person that controls the money for our cluster, our station cluster, those two it is a 2-car garage. They open up the door with their remote. They park in there. They close the door. And it's always been this way. At our old building on Madson, there was a little, rotunda by the front entrance. And the people that got to park there were the VP, the head honcho, and then all the sales managers, right? And it's always bothered me. We're all a little crazy here in radio, but and we all have massive egos. But it's always kind of bothered me. Like, first off, what are you doing this hierarchy thing for? Like, what are you telling your other employees? Well, we get to park here.
Yeah.
Hey, peasants, you go park somewhere else. That's number one. Number two, why is it that the sales executives, why can't, you know who should be parking up there? Jason Ross, a program director. Or, how about air talent? You know.
You mean
air talent.
Hang on.
Now, let me be clear.
You think 3 hours a day?
You think I'm working towards me, and I'm not, because I wouldn't be able to do that and have a conscience. Like, I wouldn't be able to take, even if I had my very own.
Right, you're gonna use somebody else as an avatar for yourself.
Yes, I would give my parking space up to different people each month. If they worked it into my contract, I had my own Carmichael Dave parking spot with my name. It was just a big nose.
Oh, you don't lie.
No, I might use it in the morning, but then I'd give it up. Like, I'd be leaving, be like, who wants a spot? Who wants it? Here's a pass. It's just the hierarchy gets me a little bit. But I digress. Matt George. Matt took over for the dearly departed Rick Batiste, who he didn't die. He went and worked somewhere else. I thought some prayers, right? And Matt is now your morning traffic guy. You know, he's the one. It's Matt.
I think he's just the traffic guy.
Okay, so he's the traffic guy all day. So he's the one where you hear, like, well, there's an accident and some chickens came out. And blah, blah, blah. You know, that's Matt George. But we don't have time. I wanted to bitch at him on the air. He has come in and he has taken the very, very front parking spot. I get it.
Which, like, you get here first and you
take it.
Yeah.
Here's what Matt doesn't understand. By parking there, he has then taken Cody from the Pat, Tom, and Cody show with our sister station, KNCI. She now has to park in my spot, which means now I've got to park in a completely different spot. And you might say, oh, so what, Dave? You have to park 2 spots away. No, there's a very specific angle because I have to back my Hoblet Ram 1500 in.
Right.
And there's one wide parking spot. Now I can't use it. Now I got to use the little compact spot because we don't have any other big spots.
It really throws you off.
It really throws me off. Because what does that mean? That means the first thing I do when I get here is get angry at something.
Yeah.
And that kind of dictates the whole day.
Yeah.
You know, when you come into a morning hierarchy, you gotta think, man.
Right. You have to explore the ecosystem. Park way down.
Yeah.
And then come in and be like, hey, or maybe observe. Park way down. And you say, okay, Cody parks in that spot every day. I'll find a different spot.
Cody Parky right there.
Different spot to park.
Right. It's very frustrating.
There's an ecosystem, man.
There is.
And just the lack of consideration for that is borderline offensive.
Matt is the motor oil in our morning ocean.
Yes.
Is what he is. And he is screwing up the whole ecosystem. And I promise you he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
No. Not one speck.
I think we should put a spot on the wheel of punishment. And that spot is we pick your parking space for a month.
I like that idea.
Kyle's driving a truck. We'll have to get into this at some point. He's driving a truck because you're moving, right?
Yeah.
And then you will not be here Friday.
Correct.
We need to do spotlight on Kyle.
Oh, okay.
For the moving, but most importantly, you're gone this Friday. How come?
I'm in my buddy's wedding.
So we got to talk about weddings.
Okay.
You're actually very excited to go to this thing.
I am.
You've been saying off air how much you love it and you love your friend. I think your friend is terribly selfish. And probably a bad person. And I don't know who this is.
I disagree entirely.
Do you? I think it is mean to invite people to your wedding when your wedding is out of town. And I think if you want to invite somebody to your out-of-town wedding, I think you should, in the invitation, have a plane ticket, a car rental, and a hotel room. And if you don't have the means for that, which most people getting married don't, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. Then just say, send me a gift card, and that will be your present. That will be your presents at my wedding. Instead, you gotta spend a ton of money. More importantly, this is about me. You have to take Friday off and stick me with God knows what. I don't even know who I'm going to be. I'm going to take Friday off. Who's going to tell me we need to break? Nobody. Eunice around the board. Morning Brew is next. It's a Monday back from the holidays. We have a ton of stuff for you. We'll get to it next, including the Kings crappy weekend as Kingsaholics Anonymous is in session. It's The Drive starting now. Sports 1140 KHTK.
Neto with a cross-court pass. Here's an up-and-down move on the baseline, broken up by Fox. Grabbed by Giles, accelerates up the floor. He's taking it into the lane with a Euro step. A twisting reverse is good. That's a big man running the floor and turning his right shoulder to the basket and protecting between the rim and getting the hoop. That's a great play by Harry Giles. We got a 4-point ball game at 81-77 suddenly.
Yeah, that was about as good as it would get. Giles would later do a heat check three that would go in and out. That would have brought the house down, and I don't want to say it was a turning point of the game or the Kings would have won. I do want to say that this is the worst game the Kings have played all year. And, yeah, I'm counting the giant losses to, let's see, they got blown out by the Pelicans for a couple blowouts early. Milwaukee, thank you.
The Rockets.
No, because this was a game against a team that they had just beaten less than a week ago in Utah. No Donovan Mitchell. You let Ricky Rubio go for, 26 or something stupid, 24?
Yeah, last I checked, it was 10 of 13 with 23 points.
In the first half. I think he had 16 in the first quarter. Ricky Rubio, who I love. Rubio had 27 points in 27 minutes last night.
He's good for like one of those. I feel like he's good for like one of those a month where it's just like, Oh, sure, Ricky Rubio does that.
I mean, poor Grant was starting out saying, and he said this in the Utah game that the Kings won. He said, you got to let Rubio shoot that. Rubio for a three. You do. And if he's going to beat you, he beats you. And guess what? He beat you.
If they played the Jazz 10 times and they let Ricky Rubio shoot like he did, he's going to have one game where he shoots like he did last night.
We were talking before the game about how Vegas, the Kings going in, I think, were 6-1-1 against the spread at home. Wow. And Vegas had Utah as 3.5-point favorites, saying, wow, I'd rock that. Take the Kings. How can you possibly have Utah as 3.5-point favorites without Donovan Mitchell after they just lost at home with Donovan Mitchell? That's why Vegas is rich. They somehow know. They just know.
Well, as the Kings coming off, they were on a back-to-back.
I know.
Coming off an emotional loss the night before.
Sure. You're going to get all the hindsiders. I'm not talking about you, but a lot of, well, actually, Dave, no, it was easy to know. It was easy to figure.
I would have taken the Kings on.
Yes, of course you would have. So would I. We'll get a lot, obviously. We'll get into this quite a bit coming up next at 6:30, again at 7 o'clock, and again at 7:35. Not just this game, but, of course, Saturday's game versus the Warriors, number 2.
Here's the snap. Winston has protection. It starts to break down. Rolling to his right. He throws the ball against his body. Wide open. Adam Humphries to the 10, to the 5. Humphries to the 3-2-1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Adam Humphries. Fire them cannons.
I like that guy, too.
That was good.
Tampa Bay announcer. That's a good call. He's got a good voice. Jameis Winston back in the starting lineup again. Best thing a Florida State player did all weekend, by the way. 29-38, 312, a couple of touchdowns, and Tampa Bay rolled to a 27-9 victory over the hapless San Francisco 49ers. I don't know what the highlight is here. Matt Breida had 106 yards. He looks like he's going to be a player. 3 catches for 34 in the air. Reuben Foster, no longer a 49er. We have Kyle Madson, the editor of NinersWire.com, that's going to get into all this and give us analysis. Kyle, I need positives from you today.
Matt Breida, as you just said, he is a legit star. Dante Pettis finally had a good game.
That was good.
And they've kind of, I think, been waiting for a breakout game from him. I expect him to get more work moving forward. Outside of that, Jeff Wilson, the undrafted rookie running back, he at least played hard.
Sure.
Through the end of the game. But other than that, the offensive line was bad. The defensive line was atrocious. Nick Mullins stinks. It was just It was a bad football team that came out flat after a bye week, and that's not good.
I want to ask you later. We'll do this at 6:45, Kyle. I want to ask you if Jerick McKinnon and Jimmy Garoppolo had not been injured this year, what type of difference, in your opinion, would have made on their record? I'll ask you that here in about 15 minutes. Number 3.
Ravens enjoying their longest drive of the day. 13th play coming up. It started back at their 25. They have it first and goal from the Oakland 5. Play action. Jackson sprints to the left, tucks and runs. He's in for the touchdown. Lamar Jackson. He went bootleg and untouched into the end zone.
The Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland got doubled up by the Baltimore Ravens 34-17. Hey, it was 7-3 in the first. Raiders got on the board. And then the vaunted rushing duo of Lamar Jackson and Gus Edwards took over the game. And that was it.
Gus Edwards, of course.
Gus Edwards. Gus the Bus Edwards, as they call him.
No.
Yeah, that actually, Kyle. Gus the Bus Edwards, that was coined at Rutgers, where he went.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So before Jerome Bettis is in the Hall of Fame. Got it.
Yep. 100%. We'll get into more of this later. Here's the thing. The Raiders suck. Derek Carr hurt his ankle. Doug Martin got in the end zone. There's your highlights. And Jared Cook had a great catch. There you go. There's your highlights.
Yeah, it was a rough game.
It was a very rough game. Rough season. Bay Area football stinks.
Lamar, the Ravens, though, went from, unwatchable to must-see TV.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson.
With Lamar Jackson under center.
He's fun. We have to see if he's going to end up being a real quarterback or if they're going to figure him out and shut him down here in a couple games. I'm rooting for him. We'll take a break. Kings Jazz next. We've got highlights such as they were and questions for you as well. Why did Iman Shumpert not play yesterday? Well, we'll tell you what the thinking was next. Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. Northern California sports had a tough day yesterday. The Kings lost to the Jazz 133-112. Sacramento dropped both games of a weekend back-to-back. Now they get a few days off, though, before finishing out November at home against the Clippers on Thursday. The Raiders kept it close in Baltimore until the Ravens scored 14 unanswered in the fourth quarter to win 34-17, or to pull away for a 34-17 win. And the 49ers fell flat off their bye in Tampa Bay. They lost to the Bucs 27-9. San Francisco also announced yesterday that they're releasing linebacker Reuben Foster after his arrest for a domestic violence incident Saturday night at the team hotel in Tampa Bay. Foster's release is expected to be processed today, at which point he will land on waivers. It's 6:31. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money.
Here we go. The drive continues now.
Bogey rolls to the right side, accelerates to the baseline, pulls up, the floater's on the way, it bounces high, and it falls in. 7-0 start for Sacramento. Bogdan Bogdanovic and the Kings with a 3-for-3 start to this ball game. 90 seconds into our first quarter.
And the Kings were outscored 133-105 after that. It's kind of difficult to remember that they were at one point, the Kings started out up 7-0. And I remember thinking middle of the first, in fact, I even think I tweeted it, thinking they should be up by double digits, but they were only up by 2. What a weird game. And I'm split on this, Kyle. I hear a lot of it's the second game of a back-to-back. And, it's an emotional game against the Warriors on Saturday, and we'll talk about that at 7 and 7:35. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's the NBA. That happens. You play second games of back-to-back. It's not like they've played. And by the way, they were off for a good portion of last week for the holiday. At least a couple days. And by the way, the average age of this team is 12. So on one hand, I'm thinking, just suck it up. It's not like you're playing 4 and 5 nights here. It's a second game of back-to-back. And by the way, that second game's at home against a team you just beat on the road that doesn't have their best player. And you got blown out by 21? Last night was the first game this team looked like last year's Kings. And As I said on Twitter, let's not overreact. Let's not second guess every single thing. Let's not bring up old agendas. Oh, see, this is what I knew Vlade sucked. I knew coach was bad. Let's not second guess everything. It's one game. And by the way,
one game out of a 20-game sample size.
They're 10-10. They're 500 on November 26th with a brutal schedule. Top 10 hardest schedule in the NBA. It was like fifth last week. It's probably dropped. So let's all calm down off of that. But that doesn't mean we can't pick a couple things up. Hindsight 2020, Kyle, but there are going to be some people questioning why did Iman Shumpert sit yesterday. He officially sat, I'm not making this up, due to load management.
It literally said Iman Shumpert, parentheses, load management.
That's what it was. We're not making a joke.
Just managing loads.
Managing. Just you stop. Okay?
There was a load, and they were like, "Shump, you got to manage that.
Manage the load." Now, I talked to people that know things before the game.
Oh, I'm Dave.
I'm Dave. I did. Oh, by the way, now I said it dropped, not by much. The Kings are 10-10 with the sixth most difficult schedule in the NBA. By the way, Utah, most difficult schedule in the NBA, followed by Milwaukee, the Clippers. How great is that? The Clippers are 13-6, and they've played the third toughest schedule in the NBA. Phoenix and then Portland.
Milwaukee still has the best record in the league, right?
14-5. Yes, they do.
Milwaukee has the second hardest schedule, and they don't even have to play Milwaukee.
That's a great point right there. That is a great point right there. And that strength of schedule is just a basic strength of schedule. You're taking the win-loss record, the percentage of opponents you've played. So the Kings have not had some super easy schedule, at least by the numbers. So you ask, well, why didn't Iman Shumpert play yesterday? I don't think Iman Shumpert not playing cost the team the game. Let me be very clear about that. I don't think Iman Shumpert is a 21-point difference at all. Those of you on the video stream brought to you by Jiffy Lube in Sac Republic just saw me shut my mic off, and not one but double sneeze. I just double sneezed right there. You were looking at the computer. You missed it too. That's being a pro.
I'm really proud of you, man.
I'm allergic to Shumpert getting off time. Now, we've embraced Iman Shumpert here at the Drive. We both enjoy his work this year. And by the way,
Iman Shumpert.
And let's be clear about something. I'm pretty darn confident in saying that it was not Iman Shumpert. In fact, I would bet a good amount of money. It was not Iman Shumpert's decision to sit yesterday. There's a decision made for him. But the Kings were off Thursday, Friday. I think they were off Wednesday, weren't they? They were off a good portion of the week. They last played, November 20th? What's today? The 26th? 5th, 4th, 23rd, 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
They last played on Tuesday. They were off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They play Saturday, Sunday. They're off till Thursday. Again. They've got 3 days off before they play Thursday. What are you sitting him here for? I didn't understand that. I do understand, and the explanation that was given to me was, hey, listen, Iman basically hasn't played in 2 years.
Right.
He's coming back from an injury. We've been giving him a decent amount of minutes. Thought this is a good time to give him a break. And you know what? If they win last night, this is really hindsight, and I admit it. If they win last night, it's not an issue. It's still not an issue. But I don't know, man. You're off till Thursday. Play the guy. You're on the second game of a back-to-back. I think what happens is I think the players, Kyle, for the first time this year, went into a game and they not a word, under-respected their opponent. I think they went in going, we got this game. We just beat them last week. Donovan Mitchell. We're City Mon. We're going to win this game. Just win this game. And then they went out and they got their you-know-what's kicked in.
Do you think that feeling was exacerbated by the fact they went up 7-0 to start the game?
Probably.
They just started coasting?
Probably.
Because you lose focus in the NBA for even 2 or 3 minutes And it can snowball and get out of hand, and that's what it feels like happened last night.
Yeah, they lost focus for about 44 minutes last night. It wasn't just that. Credit to Utah. They played well. And by the way, the Kings shot 47% from the field, 40% from the three-point line, and 74%, which is good for them, from the stripe. On paper, they did not play a terrible game, but they played a terrible game. They were lethargic. They had 17 turnovers, and many of those turnovers were at horrible moments. They had one of those turnovers where the Jazz, I think, hit a three ball. Or no, the Jazz scored and then stole the inbounds pass and hit a three.
That's just that is where a lack of focus comes in, where you're not that's just not paying attention. That shouldn't happen.
No. Only Buddy Hield and Bogdan Bogdanović played more than 30 minutes, 32 and 34. Jaeger cleared the bench halfway through the fourth. Buddy Hield shot 5 of 10 for 12 points. Why is Buddy Hield only taking 10 shots? Buddy Hield's been on fire as of late. Arguably the Kings' best player.
Can I pick out a small silver lining that's going to be kind of convoluted, but I promise it's there?
Sure, I got a silver lining too. Let's see if we match.
I doubt it.
Okay.
So Marvin Bagley played 30 minutes last night, which is good. He shot 3 3-pointers. He was 0 for 3, which is not great. But the fact he took 3 is good news because he needs to start doing that.
Who are we talking about again?
Marvin Bagley.
Marvin Bagley. Oh, you want him shooting more threes?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Okay.
Because even if he hits them at a 36% clip,
it's something.
And he shoots 3 or 4 a game, that changes the Kings' offense a lot.
18 and 6 in 30 minutes for Bagley with a couple of blocks. That's coming off of his career best game, 20 and 17 against the Warriors. My silver lining, also a young kid. How about Harry Giles last night in 20 minutes? Check out this stat line. This is I'm not comparing him to this guy other than just a stat line, but tell me whose stat line this kind of reminds you of. 10 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks.
Draymond Green.
That is a Draymond Green trademark stat line. And Harry did it in 20 minutes. Now, I'm not ready. Oh, and he took 14 shots. Now, he was 5 of 14, so let's calm down. He did take 14 shots. Probably would surprise many of you that Harry Giles in 20 minutes he tied with Bogdan for the most shots on the team, and Bogdan played 14 more minutes than him. I'm okay with it to a point. If Harry Giles ends up being something this season, if Harry Giles comes into his own and Bagley continues Bagleying and Fox continues foxing, we already know Bogdan's going to Bogdan. Kings are one piece and a couple years away from being a title contender. Not a playoff contender. A title contender. Now, I put 4 caveats
current
there.
Trajectory, yeah.
Current trajectory.
Assuming all those players hit their ceilings.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, super team just young is accurate if that happens. We'll talk more about that at 7 and 7:35. In the meantime,
if that
10
happens.
and 10. If capital I to the F, that happens. Niners and Raiders highlights. I have that written down for the next segment, Kyle.
Segment.
I'm going to ask you about the Niners. We will spend almost no time on the Raiders. And then I'm going to ask you, I got an Andrew Luck question for you as well.
Ooh, I like that.
We're not talking enough about Andrew Luck, and we need to. We need to talk more Andrew Luck and Phil Rivers.
We're not talking about Frank Reich's mistake of not taking the tie in week 4.
Well, funny you mentioned that because that's 2 big mistakes I want to talk about with Frank Reich. We'll take a break. Come back next on The Drive. Sports 1140 KHTK. All right, coming up at 7:05, we'll get back to the Kings. Same thing at 7:35. It's a Kings sandwich with 4 down territory as the meat. We'll get into football at 8:05. That'll be our long segment there. And then clean up the rest of the NFL at 8:35. There's your show for you. We'll see if we stick to it. I had a crappy weekend in sports. My Kings lost Saturday in a heartbreaker. My Kings lost yesterday in a heartbreaker. My Niners lost yesterday, but I'm okay with that, whatever. And then it was also neat Saturday. Rivalry game stuck at 9 a.m. It used to be the primetime game on Saturdays. Florida State hosting Florida at Doak Campbell. Here's just an interesting college football stat that you should care about. I know you don't care about Florida State. The loss to Florida guaranteed them a losing season. Now, I am 40-ish. I have never witnessed a losing season from Florida State University.
Wow.
Florida State, and I wished I'd written it down, but I saw the stat Saturday morning. Florida State had gone 15,700 and something days since the last time they had a season under 500. The second highest, and I don't even remember the team. I just remember the second highest was 7,000 and something days. More than double the amount of days of any other team in Division I football that they have had an above 500 team. Just to show you the overall, I can't say dominance because there's 3 national titles in there in 40 plus years, but consistently not bad of that program. So congratulations to Willie Taggart, who was hired for what is probably a top 5, I would say, but I'm biased, so let's say top 10 most prestigious college football job in the country.
Sure.
A college football program that has had a grand total of 2 coaches since I was born. Bobby Bowden.
You're 40-ish.
I'm 40-ish. That's Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher. We're not counting Odell Haggins being an interim last year. 2 coaches. And they go out and they hire a coach to take over the program whose career record is under 500. His career record is under 500, and he got the job at Florida State, and he led them to an under 500 season for the first time since the early 70s, mid-70s.
Is there a chance that they're tanking for Zion?
So here's all I'll say on that. I want Willie. They made a large commitment to Willie Taggart in years and finances.
Very odd.
Yeah, it's very odd, and I don't care. They're not going to fire him. And usually when it comes to college football, I believe that in order to get the true understanding of a coach, the coach needs 3 years. Because
you get their recruiting class.
Exactly. In college football, you start a lot of times a coach leaves, like in this case when Jimbo Fisher went to Texas A&M, you lose a lot of recruits. He takes guys with him. You have to come in. You have to start recruiting on the fly. You're already behind the 8 ball. Willie Taggart, under normal circumstances, to me, would deserve an opportunity to have his own classes, bring in his own guys, and then let's really judge him a little bit next year, a lot of it in 2 years. The problem is sometimes you can tell coaches are bad by, first off, his body of work is not great. Secondly, watching the game on Saturday, these guys have played 10 games together. You have multiple false start penalties. You have a touchdown called back, a 70-something yard touchdown called back because of an illegal shift. You have personal fouls after the play that set up Florida gave him a first down for a touchdown. You have multiple mental lapses on the team. He's not a good coach. He can't coach at this level. Not right now. Maybe in the future. Now, Kyle, you were talking to me off the air we were talking about Jim Harbaugh, and I said, let's hold on to that. I want to get into that later. And in Harbaugh's case, Harbaugh is a Michigan guy. He is a Michigan guy. And they got destroyed by Ohio State.
They got lambasted.
Throttled even. 63 to something.
They went full throttle.
You can't lose rivalry games for too long in college football. It doesn't matter who you are. In Jim Harbaugh's case, I think unless the NFL comes calling with some crazy job offer, which has happened with Harbaugh before, vice versa, I think Harbaugh gets another year at Michigan. He's got to beat Ohio State or at least get close. Problem is they play in Columbus next. They play in Ann Arbor next year. I think if Michigan loses next year to Ohio State, if Harbaugh's still there, he's gone.
Oof.
He's gone. But I do think he gets one more year. Kyle, I want to switch real quick.
They were so close this year.
They were so close.
By the way, hilarious. That Desmond Howard went on TV to defend that Michigan should be ahead of Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame beat Michigan head-to-head, and then Michigan went out and got 30-pieced. That's so funny.
That's
really, really awesome to me. Also, LSU dumping Gatorade on their coach and then losing is just the best thing.
How about 74-72, making Kansas City and the Rams look like a defensive struggle?
Yeah.
74-72 in
It
7
needed
overtimes.
7 overtimes.
It's a hell of a game.
Really fun.
By the way, that's Jimbo Fisher's Texas A&M team. Not that I'm rooting against them. Real quick, because we have 1 minute. Probably not even that. I want to get into this later, but we talked about how stupid Frank Reich was for taking the tie against Houston, and now that's really showing up.
You thought it was stupid. I
did.
defended it.
But I'm not going to go hindsight because who the hell knew they'd be doing what they do now. So I'm taking the classy way out of that one.
Thank you.
Here's what is stupid. When your franchise quarterback, who is very quietly trying to get into what?
No, I'm reacting to what you're about to say.
Trying to get into the MVP conversation, had pretty much his arm taken off and then like cleaned with a Brillo pad and then sewn back on. Probably don't turn him into a receiver and pass him the ball.
2 weeks in a row.
That is criminal malpractice coaching.
He dove for one and didn't get it. Yesterday, he unfortunately did catch it and got lit up
right on the shoulder.
For no gain.
Right on the shoulder. Landed right on the shoulder.
What are they doing?
It's stupid. It's the worst thing I saw in football all weekend, and I watched that Bills-Jaguars fight. It's the dumbest thing I saw in football all weekend. Andrew Luck is very quietly, and now we're going to talk about him turning into one of the best stories in the NFL. He's back, man. And
he's an MVP candidate.
Absolutely. Everybody wrote him off, and they should have. You don't take your glass statue of gold and throw it out there for a 1-yard gain.
You spent so much draft capital and money on fixing your offensive line to ensure that he didn't get hit, and then you put him out wide. As far away from the offensive line as possible.
When we come back, Kings Jazz, and we'll get into the Warriors here, that game as well. But we'll lead off with I have Frank Reich comments after the game. Frank Reich talking about the 4th down catch by Andrew Luck. I haven't listened to the sound, so let's see if Frank finds some way to justify it. From the 5-3, as a Colts fan, I don't regret any of it. It wasn't for a gain. It was for a 1st down and 3rd down in a close game. Well, then you're a dumb fan. Sorry. Bro, as a Colts not fan.
You have Andrew Luck, who is perfectly capable of converting that with his arm.
Andrew Luck being injured isn't worth an entire win, much less a 1st down.
Yes.
We'll take a break. Get your head out of your ass, Colts fan. We're back in a couple. We'll get into that in Kings Jazz. Sports 1140 KHTK.